So, hello there.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it go? Well, everything is fine over here in Sweden, in the pitch dark night. How about you?
It's all right here. It's just the evening, but it's raining hard. I think we're doing all right now.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So the storm isn't bad enough, so you will have connection.
I think we're gonna be fine. It was pretty bad earlier, but we'll be okay now.
Oh, that's awesome. So, welcome everyone who are here, and welcome Trevor and Jesse and Mindless Focus. Eric, you knew who that one was, right?
I think that's Kevin.
Hello, Kevin. Nice to talk to you. And hello, Gru, Nate. Not Gru. I mean Drew, of course. Okay, so welcome to this. Let's talk about tribute figures with me, Emil Wickman, or Emil Wickman, and
Eric Miller.
yeah. So let's do this together. And I'm gonna let everyone know that the first of all of this is just a good excuse for me to get a chance to talk to Eric finally,
Yeah,
because I've been looking forward to talk to him for so long.
it's been a
Again,
long time.
yeah. So uh, we have already started. Let's show everyone this. This is the plan for this live. Um, a short introduction of who we are, so you know who are talking in this live. Second, the process about our steps when we are creating tribute figures, mythic legions parts, but tributes to other properties. I would say, yeah. And number three, we go through the rules to follow, or the rules. Are there any rules that we kind of mentally or that we set up to follow? And then we go to step number four, which is the customs showcase, and that's where we're gonna show some of our customs and talk about how we went about doing them. And finally, well, it says question, but it's more like, well, if anyone is still around, if you want to ask something more than what you already asked during the live, that's the questions. Okay. So let's remove this and go to, I'm going to show this slide. Point number one, the introduction. So my first question is,
Mhm.
because I mean, Eric, you've been part of many different lives so far. I mean, I've seen you so many lives, and I've been looking with my blue eyes upon your wonderful being. But to start from the beginning, who is Eric Miller?
uh, I'm just a guy. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
So, uh, I'm Eric. I am a normal guy with a day job and a family, and I live on a farm and I sell AV equipment during the day, and then I'm a unapologetic nerd whenever I'm not at work. So yeah, I mean that's probably about all you need to know about me, I guess.
Well, I like that. Okay, so where do you live? In what country?
I'm in the United States, which I'm not used to having to say that, but of course,
Yeah.
when I'm talking with Emil, that's probably a good idea to say. So, I'm in right outside of Dayton, Ohio, United States.
Nice. And well, I'm Emil Wickman, um, from Sweden, also an ordinary guy, if we should say something like that. I love everything creative, and of course, I love my family. Living here in Sweden, working nothing with art actually. Just like you're selling AV equipment. I work at a school with, well, I'm an IT coordinator there, and I help uh, kids when it comes to issues like getting bullied and to make you feel secure in school and to handle situations like that. That's my day job. So, shall we say that that's it? And we are both making Mythic Legions custom figures, and we enjoy that a lot.
Yep, that's the happy place, right?
That is the happy place. That's when you get to relax, right? With day to day, well, the stress that comes with every day or some days, and then you can just relax by creating customs.
Yeah.
So, but why did you start making customs?
I made customs because I wasn't happy with the action figures that I saw on the shelves in stores, and it was kind of back before all these independent toy companies were around. But after a while, there wasn't a reason to do customs out of necessity anymore because every character you could ever imagine is available somewhere from some company at this point, I feel like.
What time are we talking about? This is a long time ago.
Yeah, around like 2007, 2008, probably.
Yep.
Yeah, but now I do customs because I'm just so inspired mostly by Mythic Legions. I just love the toy line, and I love making my own versions of things, other things that I love, with using those as a tool, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what brings me the most joy in painting and customizing right now.
And that's wonderful. But because I'm seriously thinking about a big part of life is to find the things that makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life is for. I mean, you should enjoy life, right? And you need to find the things that make you happy. I'm in that kind of same place. These figures, these toys, these parts, is a playground for anyone creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They really are.
So, very, very thankful to the Four Horsemen students for creating such a line.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, shall we move on to? I mean, we are many who are making custom figures. Many of us are. There are. I mean, it's not just you and I who are making custom figures that are tributes to other toy lines or other properties. We're not the only ones. This is just you and me talking about how we are doing this, and maybe it can inspire someone, maybe it can answer someone's questions, or maybe you just want to hang out for an hour or so with us who love this. So let's move on to point number 2, the process. Okay. I think what we're talking about now in this step with the process, I think we're gonna come back to this when we're looking at our individual figures. But okay, how would you go about what is the spark? What makes you think that? I mean, how do you start? I'm gonna make a custom figure. How does it start for you?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure you're probably the same, but I'd say it's one of two ways. So the first way is there's just a character that I love so much that I know I want to make it somehow, and then I'll try to figure out what that looks like. And then the second way is with all the artists and the community and all the people making 3D parts and things like that. Every once in a while, you just see a part pop up, and then the idea comes almost instantaneously, and you just know what you got to do, when you see the part. So I think they work hand in hand. Like, a lot of times it's like, I love this character, I want to make this character, and I'm just waiting for that perfect part to show up, and then when it does, it's on.
Yeah, and I have to agree. It is pretty much always one of those two reasons. You see a part that sparks an idea, or you just. I actually think that's perhaps the quickest way, when you see a part and then you get the idea. I want to do this, and then you start working on that idea. In the other scenario, when you're kind of like, I want to do this character, it often takes the longest time for me. And I mean, because, okay, I have a list of like 20 characters that I want to make, but I'm waiting for some parts or thinking about but that's when the spark has started.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a dumb idea to have a list like that, but
No, I'm the same way. I mean, there's tons of characters I would love to make if I could just find the right parts. So
yeah. And just want to go back when we check the list. Trevor here is saying where we're going, there are no rules. And you're right, there are no rules. But maybe me and Eric have some mentally rules that we want to discuss very shortly. Maybe. But we're not saying that's a rule for anyone else. And I just have to say this because I love where this quote comes from. I think this is about you. You're just a guy who puts his pants on one leg at a time, but when he does, he makes gold figures. Yeah, that's you do.
Hilarious.
Okay, so once that idea, you have an idea. You have seen a part, you want to create this figure, this character. Or you have set on deciding, okay, the process has started. Where do you take it from there?
I mean, I guess once I have that idea, I just start assembling everything. I don't have much of a process like pre-production, I guess you would call it. Like where I'm piecing things together or maybe drawing things out the way I want them. I know I've seen some photos of yours where you've taken like the base parts and then kind of like drawn over top of them to make it look like the character you're wanting to do. I kind of just use the parts that I have that I think will work and hope for the best, I guess. Usually disassemble, paint, and then hope that when you reassemble everything, it's going to look good. And luckily, for the most part, everything's been pretty good for me.
Everything's been, you're just like, yeah, I'm going to use these paints, and it's mostly, it works out mostly.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll reassemble a figure, and then I'll find a number of things that don't work, and then I have to figure something else out. But
so to second what you're saying, I think I'm gonna bring this one up again. He's just a guy who puts his pants on, but when he makes gold figures. Okay, so can I tell? I have a number of different steps that I've kind of ended up using.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's of course we've started with the parts or some kind of parts. Then I'm looking for the rest of the parts. What parts to use? And I do. This is not something that anyone needs to do, but I kind of do a lot of research. While at work, I put like if I'm doing Deadpool, for example. At work, I mean, maybe I put on YouTube Deadpool costumes. And then I have that, and then I look at like different versions of him, the top 10 comic versions of Deadpool, and it's like, and I Google to see where is the red, where is the black, what kind of different versions are there, and it's not like I have to. It's because I love it,
Yeah,
I really enjoy that process, the thinking, the assembling in my head, and disassembling, or So
I do that same thing too. I mean,
yeah.
I guess in the nervousness of doing a live video, you just kind of don't think of what to say. But yeah, I mean, usually a lot of my free time is spent Googling photos and picking which parts of which version of each character that I'm going to try to like represent some part of,
Yeah, there we go. And this is where I want to talk about, because I think we're thinking a lot alike. Maybe, okay. So that's good. So I can't show you the reference photos here, but I print some references sometimes. Okay, and then once the parts have been decided, like you said, I do not always, but I tend to do like take a photo of the figure, and then on my phone, I just dabbling some paint on where the things are, and should this part be yellow or white, and And sometimes I take it into the computer, and that's like, you don't have to do this, but like I said, you have fun with the process. That's like that. So to me, the actual, when it comes to the actual painting, that's the fastest part, because then we have all this planning. So once I've kind of decided a color scheme, I also go out there on YouTube and look at, okay, so for example, for well, I think it was my third tribute figure when I did Thor. I was like, how do you do blonde hair realistically? And then I found this great tutorial about what paints to use, and then I get the paints if I don't already have them, and I end up getting more paints for most figures. Kind of like, okay, I could try in this one. So I use YouTube a lot, and that's another thing. I think it's fun because I want a good result of it, and I learn from others. That is...
Yeah, definitely. I do the same thing. I've watched a million YouTube videos, and I don't know if there's many where I've just saw a video and said, okay, that's how I'm going to do this. I mean, I kind of like do my own version of everything that I find, whatever works best for me. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of artists out there who are able to give you ideas and inspiration and so on.
Yeah. So just so you know, the Vision and the Spawn figure, they like them. That's good.
Sure. I think they're probably referring to your Spawn, right?
Yeah, but I'm not done Vision.
Yeah, Vision
So
would be mine.
Okay. So this is like Trevor is saying, a list is a good idea always. I have a lot of lists.
I have mental lists. I'm bad at writing things down.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you have mental lists written down. And the thing is, we're not talking about the right way or the bad way of doing things like this. I mean, you could just put the parts together and put the paints on, kind of like how you imagine a Spider-Man would look or so. But it's part of enjoying it as much, like eating all the candy in the bag, not just taking one. It's like, oh, I want this part as well. I'm gonna enjoy it all. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Is, for saying this. Catch you, both of you guys, live. Nice of you to say that. We're here.
Yeah. It's about time, I think.
Yeah. So we have the step number 3, or actually our step number 3 is the rules. Like Trevor said, there are no rules when it comes to this. Okay, so let's establish that first. No, there are no rules. But what rules do you have when making a tribute figure, Eric Miller?
Rule number 1 is have fun.
Great rule. Remember that, everyone. Have fun.
I'm joking, but not really, I guess. But
it's true. I mean,
yeah,
even if
sure.
you're joking, because I'm gonna say something like that, because there are things in life when you're like, even the things that you love, when the point comes that right at this moment this is not fun, then you have to really remember this is not your job. This is not something that you should force. I mean, you could feel stressed, like, yeah, now I want to finish this and maybe show others to get their reactions, and one can understand that. But then just take one step back and like have fun with this. Okay, yeah. So maybe I won't work on this custom today or tomorrow. Just have fun. So Kevin, so I need to research. I'm a new customer, and I don't know who all have what parts. That's where I need to work on it. You mean what figures have the parts that you need? Of course, I mean, we have the library of parts that are available, and the more you collect the figures, the more you kind of remember and know what figures have what parts and what you need to get. And there are a lot of great people in the cabal there where you can trade with or buy parts from. I mean, I was so thankful and so happy when I got the chance to buy the Atlas head from Will. I mean, for my Thor figure, because I found I really want that head, but who has an extra head of this to sell? No one. And then one of my closest friends online is like, yeah, I have one. What? Yeah, I'll sell it for you, of course.
I think that was my first thought when I saw that figure was, how did he get that head?
And I have that feeling. How did I get this head? That's too perfect. So Trevor has an idea. Do you usually set out to do a custom and seek out parts, or more often do you see a part and it sparks a custom idea? So these are the two ways that a tribute figure starts.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that mostly, for me at least, it's the see that part and it sparks something. What about you? Is
That's what I
one
was
more
gonna
than the other?
say. Yeah, it's usually like you see that one singular part that gives you the idea, and then you start seeking out all the other parts that make sense.
Yeah,
That would make sense.
yeah, I agree. This is very nice to say. Two of my favorite customizers live in one place. Live, I mean.
Yeah, we definitely don't live in one place.
You have to remember, I'm from Sweden. I don't know the language very well. Okay. Yeah. So that's rule number one. Nice. Have fun.
Yeah, I'm just being cheesy, but yeah.
but it was good. Is there any other rules you have?
I know we've discussed this before too, but the one rule that's actually a rule that I try to stick to, I guess, and I don't always do it either, but if you're doing a tribute to a figure, I try not to use any parts that are actually from an action figure of that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do every once in a while. I can think of one example where I definitely failed at that, which was my Vision. I needed a clear cape. The only figure I could find that had a clear cape was a Vision figure. So I ended up using that. But
it kind of doesn't feel like it. I mean, it's more like it's not the main piece of that custom.
Sure.
It really feels, I mean, it is the cape, it is an add-on piece, but I have to agree on you that though this is not a rule, and everyone builds their custom any way they want. Mm-hmm. Some only use original Mythic Legions parts. Some, maybe like you and I, do that, but add some extra parts. Mostly it comes to like adding a head sculpt or just a few parts. Mm-hmm. Or you actually take parts from the tributes that you've set up to make. Of course, any of these are fine. So do as you please, but that's kind of like, I think these are the two only rules, right? Have fun. But that's not a rule, so you don't have to be forced to have fun. If you want to be a grumpy man or a woman, that's okay. So that's our rule, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So shall we go to the section that we're planning to spend the most time on?
Sure.
Show the customs that we have, and we have like 10 customs each that we that we will be talking about. Oh wait, we could take these. This is great to hear. I see a part and visions of it dance in my head. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. Like you're kind of dancing along with the vision, and it's like, yeah, maybe that, and maybe that, and it's like something to enjoy. And okay, this is another good reason. I'm new to the customizing world. I don't have other fodder. Maybe you should read these comments instead of me.
I don't want to say I don't have other fodder or know what other lines have what to use. So I think he's saying he doesn't have like pieces just laying around or know what other lines might have parts that make sense for what he's thinking.
Yeah.
I Google a whole lot. I use eBay a lot, so not necessarily to buy things, but to find parts. So, like, say if I had a figure that, well, like the vision that I did with the cape, I needed a clear cape, so I just went to eBay and typed 1/12 scale clear cape, and then parts start showing up. So I mean, like, that's a good way to find things, and once you see one that works, you can kind of figure out where it came from usually. Um, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know a ton about a, a lot of different toy lines or whatever. Like, I know a lot of people use Lord of the Rings figures and stuff, and I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings, and I don't know anything about those characters or what kind of accessories they might have or anything. So, but there's been times where I've just Googled Lord of the Rings action figure and just hoped to find something that fits what I'm trying to do.
And why is it Lord of the Rings? Because they're better priced, or any
I think one of
special
the
reason?
reasons is because they're
Yeah,
cheap, and then the other reason is because they're fantasy too. So a lot of those
yeah,
parts, I think
of course.
people find parallels with Mythic Legions. But you know, another great. I'm gonna sound like I'm advertising or sucking up, but Source Horseman is great for finding Mythic Legions parts.
Yes.
They've got weapons layouts and things like that, so you can really find what parts you want.
Yeah, that's a site that I go to a lot, and I just sometimes when you have an idea of when you haven't found the part, but you come up with an idea. I want to make this character. Then you just scroll and scroll on your phone and see, please let me find a head sculpt that would work for that custom. And it's like, yeah, okay. And from Trevor, do you see an idea? We decide that you read the comments, well, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do you see an idea through the whole way before moving on, or do you have multiple projects in various states of progress? I don't know about you, Emil, but
Yeah.
I have a hard time doing more than one thing at a time.
Okay.
So I get stuck on one thing, and I pretty much don't move on until I'm done with that one thing.
Really, even when it comes to collecting the parts.
Kind of, yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
focus on the one thing at a time.
Then I am the opposite. I think. It's kind of like I really enjoy having multiple projects on the same time. I mean, we have when the Ilithia wave was announced more than 1.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There were parts there. Now I'm thinking of especially 2 custom figures that I'm wanting to do before Legion's Con, and I had this in my head for so long. I've been longing for this. It's like it's almost crazy. But I mean, and then of course I can't wait until those parts come before I start the next project. So I kind of like having that at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think
Drew is
that's
like,
going to happen soon? Do you think you're going to get the parts you need soon in
oh
time
yeah, I
for
hope
Legion's
so.
Con?
I actually checked yesterday, and they have not been shipped yet. But of course they will come. Drew, I have 100 projects going all at once. That's more like what's happening in my head, and that's probably why I have to lay everything down from time to time to rest this head. Okay. Let's say Nate here. Your job, Eric.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading it to myself. How often have you just ended up making your own parts if you couldn't find them available? Sculpt, print, paint, etc.
Okay.
I know you've done that more than I have. I know, like,
I,
your Hulk troll that you did that amazing green stuff head sculpt for.
yeah, Okay, so this is kind of like we're coming there. We're gonna talk about the figure soon, but I kind of have this crazy, rule for myself. I allow myself to resculpt some with green stuff. When there is something, and then I'm reshaping it like this one piece. But when it comes to digital sculpting, I don't want to create the parts especially for the projects I need. It's more like I do a sculpt of something, and that sculpt inspire me to then do a custom. And I try to be really, because otherwise it would be like I'm sculpting Spider-Man's head and then just printing it. Oh, this looks like Spider-Man's head. Though I must admit, when the head that I used for Spawn, when I sculpted that one, it had a lot of resemblance to this part of, and it's like I can't deny that. So maybe pretty early on in that process, it's like I have to do this now, but I don't want to sculpt Spawn's head, because then it would be cheating.
That makes
So I
sense.
tried to do it not that alike Spawn anyway, but I kind of failed there maybe. But I tried.
I would have a hard time keeping to that rule. Like if I did digital sculpting or whatever, I think I would just be making parts for what I want them for, and not even worrying about if other people wanted them or whatever. Which is,
these are my fake rules. The rules that I've set up. It's all about that.
Yeah.
So let's go on. We're just gonna say that Sean has written this. I've been purchasing. Okay, George up.
Oh, okay. I've been purchasing used figures online that I think have interesting parts, but have no idea how I will use them yet. Just getting parts to choose from when I feel inspired.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, I do that a little bit too.
Yeah.
I have a ton of 3D printed parts that I've bought, just waiting for the right time that an idea comes to me, But or there have been times where I've been at like Walmart or Target and seen a figure on the shelf and thought, I don't want this figure, but I could see where somewhere down the line I would want that accessory, or that head sculpt might work for this thing, or that kind of stuff. So I get it.
I get that. Okay, so let's start with the customs.
All right.
Because that's where we're gonna. That's a lot of talk for the first point that we thought that's gonna go pretty fast.
For sure.
Anyway, we're here, and it's great that all of you who are here, and feel free to join the conversation with whatever questions or things you want to say. If you need a break from us, then just pause it and watch it later. But it's great to have you here. So
it's fun.
We have to start with this one. These amazing 4 characters. We have to start with this. I saw these a long time before I heard of you. Or, these are the first kind of tribute figures from the Mythic Legions line that I ever saw. My personal inspiration to one day do my own. Okay. So this sparked everything for me. Can you say something about this?
Well, I think that every time I hear you give credit to me for the tribute figures that you make is crazy to me, because they're so amazing, and you're such an amazing artist, not only just with custom figures, but with sculpting and your your digital, your printmaking and things like that. And you've done animation. Everything I see you do is just crazy good. So to think that I inspired you at all is just nuts to me. But
that's super kind of you to say. I'm not gonna try to dodge this time. I always try to dodge it, but I'm gonna say thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for saying that. But it's the truth. Okay.
Thank you, Emil.
So now, everyone who are wondering, me and Eric are gonna sit here for 5 minutes and thank each other for being to see who can make sure that the other one feels most awkward about getting positive feedback.
I'm
Hello, David.
awkward by nature, so
Okay,
just how it is.
I'm winning. Okay, sorry. So, can you say something about this? These are
Yeah.
these the first 4 tribute Mythic Legions figures you did?
Kind of, yeah. Unless you count Gothotropolis, because I did do my Gothotropolis Zoar tribute before these guys, but that was it. But yeah, I think I got the idea when they did Unken. And I just kind of thought, oh, that's cool. You know, they made a Masters of the Universe character out of their own property and their own parts. It would be cool to maybe do something different. And then when they solicited the Colosseum wave, they had those orcs, and I knew like instantly that as soon as those came out, I was going to make Ninja Turtles out of them.
Wow.
So there was obviously a very long wait from that moment to when I finally got them in hand, but yeah, I mean, I went through them pretty quickly, and they're all very basic repaints. Like if I were to make those today, they'd probably be totally different, but that doesn't mean they'd be better at all.
No.
But yeah, I mean, they're simple, but they're cool.
You have changed their hands and feet today, right?
Yeah, so when Erethier came out and those the orc hands and feet packs came out, I put those on there because I thought it felt more appropriate for them to have bare hands and feet. But that's all that's changed. I have changed up the weapons a little bit too with the expanding library. I don't remember what Donatello's holding there in that picture.
No, I can't see that. I only included this one now.
Yeah, I give him a wizard staff now, and the Michelangelo I've given maces to. But yeah, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, and here just to say, we have read out loud.
I'm sorry. I keep just reading it in my head. I'm not a TMNT guy at all, and every time I see these, I'm totally enthralled. Well, that's awesome to hear. I can't imagine not being a TMNT guy at all, because that's all I've ever been. But it's cool that it appeals to people that are like out of the zeitgeist or whatever.
And for you doing them, let's just say thank you.
Thank you. I read that one out loud. Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, so I want to stay more. Maybe we can talk more about this later because
Sure.
we have many more to talk about. But I love these. So
I appreciate that. I'm glad they sparked some ideas for you too.
Oh, they still do, and I still feel like doing a turtle tribute, kind of just to annoy these guys, like some silly goblin figure. But it's like might happen. These are amazing. Turtle. Okay, so this is the first tribute figure that I did. I had a lot of fun with this, and of course, it's with this one. It actually was a combination, I think, of using, this head as well as. No, it was pretty clear that I wanted to do Captain America. That's the tribute I wanted to make, and I was here waiting for parts that I was gonna paint, and they didn't come, and so I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna paint goblins, but the parts hadn't come yet. Okay, maybe it's time to do a tribute figure because that's something that I've thought about doing. So this I had a lot of fun with this. It took a lot of time. I really wanted the blue nuances and red to work.
I remember you telling me that you were going to do a tribute figure. I think you even like asked my permission to do a tribute figure or something like that. It's like
maybe I did
do whatever you want to do. But I remember a few weeks after that, or maybe even days. I don't remember exactly how long it was. But you sent me a photo of the torso painted, and I just thought, you son of a gun. Like, people are going to love this, you know? And yeah, I mean, obviously, when you showed those, everyone gravitated towards them. It's just such an amazing figure. And then you followed it up with more and more amazing tributes to the Avengers. And I mean, they deserve every little bit of attention they've gotten. They're absolutely amazing.
Well, you know that there are multiple sides in this. First of all, this sparked something in me that made me that has grown lately about wanting to do this thing. It triggers something about the Hobbit that I love. And of course, let's say like this. Okay, they got attention when it come. It is easier to get attention for something that is a tribute to something else. Okay, because people have a relation to Captain America. So some maybe they put they click the like button just because it is Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though that was not my main reason for doing it, but I realized that's the thing with tribute figures. Okay, so I'm not making any illusions. Question here from Trevor. How do you feel about people replicating your build recipe for a custom and creating your own? You know, since neither of you will sell me your customs.
I
Well,
saw
you
that
answer
one pop
that?
up. It's hilarious. I don't. People can do whatever they want to do. So I mean, if they want to try to copy something or whatever, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, me too. Enjoy. This is really the hobby. It's great to be able to share it with others. And if this can spark someone else to do something similar, then please go ahead. I'm not sure I have the exact paints for this one, but I mean, in some of my later customs, I try to write down the paint recipes to kind of remember. So I mean, I would be happy to share those as well. There are no secrets that I mean, you know.
I will say, even earlier today, I was just working on my Trevor Williams ripoff figure.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
The Black Athon. I was texting him asking the process for how he dyed his, because it looked amazing and I wanted to do it myself. So I just did that earlier today. So he's got free reign to rip anything that I do off, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I didn't dye my when I did my black horse, I repainted it.
Mm-hmm.
People, don't do that. I'm just saying, don't do that. Wait for the right parts to come.
I got impatient, and I painted that one too, but I just wanted the joints to be black so that I didn't have to sand them down and stuff.
My black horse, you should not move his legs, because then you will I mean, the paints on the joints will. Well, anyway. If anyone want to buy a black painted horse, then you're welcome to reach out to me, because it's not the most wonderful one. And you got some feedback here from the 1/6 shooter himself.
Thanks. I appreciate your help in making that one.
And here. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to see your customs, Trevor, so much.
Me too.
Let's
Trevor
move
shared
ahead.
an idea that he had with me one time for something similar to what we're doing here, and I won't say anything about it, but if he ever gets around to it, it's going to be incredible.
Oh, now you got me excited. You're most welcome to send that pictures to me as well, Trevor. Okay. So, this one, mm-hmm. I've heard you in other interviews refer to this as one of your favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the favorite? Is that it?
I don't think it's my favorite that I've ever done, but it's definitely up there. And I think it's one that, not that it matters or anything, but like it gets overlooked a lot, I think. But yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. And I've made it a while ago, and I feel like it still holds up pretty well. Like I don't know if I would have done anything differently.
It is beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. I
And
like it a lot.
and it's a labyrinth tribute.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah.
loose tribute, but that's another one of those ones where when I saw that head sculpt, it looked close enough to a fiery, and Labyrinth is my favorite movie of all time. So I
Really?
wanted to do some sort of tribute to it. Yeah. So, yeah, I got that head, and then I had the idea to do the door knocker on the chest and on the arms, and I talked to Joel Davis, and he was kind enough to print those for me so that I could make it happen, and it came out just the way I wanted it to.
It's really really cool, and I must admit that I probably should rewatch Labyrinth. I remember the door knocker,
Mm-hmm.
but I also remember the last time when I was supposed to watch Labyrinth, I didn't dare. So that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
The Labyrinth
it's
was scary. I need to rewatch it
yeah. I feel
as a
like
grown.
it's a movie you got to grow up with to really appreciate. Like, I've stopped showing it to people. You know, it's like you're like, it's the best movie ever. You got to see it, and you like sit down and watch it with them, and halfway through, they're like, "Why are you showing this to me? This is awful." But uh, I don't know. I love that movie, and that's the fiery characters. They were in the woods. That was after Sarah, the main character of that movie, after she chose one of the doors that had the knockers on it, she found
Mhm.
herself in the woods where the fireys were. So I kind of injected my own lore into it, mythics wise, and kind of thought like, well, what if the door knockers to this creature was um, some sort of like deity, like some sort of like mystical gatekeeper or something, and they like worship the knockers on the door for some reason. I don't know. So then I thought, well, what if they had that pattern in their armor, um, to kind of like pay tribute to it or whatever? And maybe just because it looks cool, and maybe I'm just trying to make sense of it, but it works
But
out.
it is absolutely beautiful. But your explanation now also make me feel less bad for not getting it totally at once. So it's
Yeah, you
that
probably have
that
to be a pretty big Labyrinth fan to put that kind of stuff together, I guess.
Mhm. I really do like it. Um, does he take his head off and dance?
You could.
He could. That's good
Yeah,
enough.
I, I
So,
I probably should have tried to incorporate that in a different way, but I didn't really worry too much about it.
question from Nate.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, let's share the load, or what do you say?
I know a lot of painters will paint over a canvas multiple times until they're happy. Have you ever done that with a custom figure? Yeah, I just did a custom. It's one of my Legions Con customs. It's a very simple one, but I did the whole thing and I hated it, and I ended up painting over the entire figure again.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm struggling with this because I mean I made 4 custom figures that I've finished for Legion's Con that I'm not gonna show here or until Legion's Con. I was very happy with them. I've taken photos of them, make everything ready because I'm gonna ship them to, well, to New Jersey now to make sure that they arrive in time. And then yesterday I was looking at them and it's like, maybe I should repaint that one. And I've taken all the photos, I've done everything. It's like, am I maybe I will mess it up. So I'm trying to convince myself that that I shouldn't go at it again. Maybe I can show you to get some feedback, but I know you have told me that you don't want to see this
Oh
one.
yeah.
But
Well, if you need
okay,
some feedback, let me
I
know.
think I need
But
some feedback, but I'm afraid that you will say, yeah, repaint it. Oh, maybe I don't dare to. Okay,
don't.
so let's move on. Here we go. The Thor. This is my third tribute figure. Uh, which turned out really powerful. And I mean, I was really happy with the eyes, for example, that it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with that it feels like it's glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about repainting. Well, the eyes. At one time, I had, or at one time, I mean, I had made the glow, so it was like glowing a lot. And I love my wife, and I'm very thankful for her, and I need her to be my critic. And it's good for me to show stuff to her because she is brutally honest, and she can say we have this connection now. Like she can say there's something wrong over here or here. I don't know what. There's something wrong with the hand. If I've drawn something, for example, it's like there's something wrong. I don't know what, but something's wrong. And then it gets me frustrating sometimes because please try and say what is wrong. But I know she won't, and that's part of our connection here. And with this one, she was like, "Those eyes look silly. Are you done with those?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." You can't let it be like that. And I love her because she knows she's right, and she's. So then I was like, she's right. It doesn't look good. I have to take this risk about what you said, Nate, about repainting things. I didn't repaint everything, but the eyes were like, I have to try something. I have to repaint it until it looks good, and I really like how this turned out. So why I've included this picture to the right is this is before the paints were put on. Now I just realized something. I could do like this. It's my wife's favorite. I could put this text up, but I know that this was for your Labyrinth custom.
Yeah.
So, Carlo, I know I'm just being silly. Anyway, this the armor pauldrons.
Yeah.
You see that there are the other ones, the
Yeah, they're different.
warthog are, and I had those on until pretty much the same day I was gonna start painting. And it's like, well, I have to try, and I tried, and then it's like, no, that's it, because I wanted to get the effect of his wide shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the wide shoulder when you can feel how wide he is, and kind of like a part of the cape, and you didn't get that effect with the warthog ones.
Yeah.
So that's
I'll
one of those
say.
things. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's one of those things that it was almost done or almost ready for starting, but then, well, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, I'm pretty tired of the like the evil armor set for Mythic Legion, just because I've used them on so many customs. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of done. But there's no other pauldrons that would have worked as perfectly as those, I think, for this custom. And the way you did the silver, the top and bottom to them, and then had that red in between, like, that's a really subtle detail that doesn't really, like, it doesn't really in its own right have anything to do with Thor, but when you put it on that figure, that's one of the details that helps it read as Thor, and the sculpt just fits the vibe of that figure perfectly. So, like, the Vorthog ones look cool, but they don't look as cool as the ones you ended up using. Like, I'm glad you changed those out.
Thank you. And they don't look like Thor, you know.
Right.
And this is part of it all. Like, you have to find some kind of. You have to, of course, the colors. You're going for the colors as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and shape, colors and shape. Because I mean, for my female characters, I mean, and yours as well, you could pretty much remove the pauldrons and have them more looking like the characters that they're supposed to be tributes to.
Mm-hmm.
But then it wouldn't be Mythic Legions. So, you know, it's this. Well,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I like that you went with a more modern Thor for it too. It fits. I think it fits Legions better than something more classic would. But if someone told me to make a Thor figure, I think I would gravitate towards like the '60s Thor with like the bright yellow tiger stripe boots and the blue pants, and it wouldn't translate as well. So I'm glad you went with a more modern take. That's a killer figure. I love everything about it.
Thank you. But like you said, this head sculpt by Eric Treadaway. Of course, all the parts are by Eric Treadaway, but it's like this head sculpt that is one of the best ones. I think he in the old Mythic Legions line, one of the absolute coolest one.
I would agree.
Those pieces look like they were made. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Curtis, you're off by an hour.
What are we gonna do?
Everyone, if you read the chat, everyone is angry with you for not being here, but that's fine. And so let's continue. Here we have something. Okay, I think that this is maybe the most liked post, or one of the top liked posts in the Cabal of all time.
Oh, really?
I think so.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know the top numbers exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember this one was like and it's okay. Everyone called this is a mad idea. Like, how can you just carve out his body? Tell us about it, please.
That's not a cheap figure either, so I was really nervous about doing that. It worked out well, thankfully, but that's another one of those ones where I saw that head by Wolf King Customs, and I painted one like purple just to have fun painting it. I like the color purple or whatever. But as I was doing it, I something clicked, and I was like, this would be a cool Krang. And then I thought, well, it's the right size to be a Krang. It's a little bit large, but Krang had the android body that stood like 9 feet tall or whatever, and Mythic Legions has the ogre scale, which does the exact same thing. So I mean, it's one of those ones where it just made too much sense. But I thought about it after Thor had been out for a really long time, and he was already a really expensive character by that point. Yeah, Lynn. I asked him about that head, and I was like, so if I cut it in half, is it hollow on the inside or is it solid? And I think he instantly was like, what do you mean? Why are you going to cut this in half? Don't do that, And I explained it to him, and then I think he was like, oh, okay, cool. It sounds like it could work. But I think I scared him for a minute. But this one, I was talking to Walter, and I just said, I really want to do a Krang android body custom. I think maybe he had even bugged me about it. Like, you should do a Krang, and I just never thought much about it. But we were talking about it one day, and I was like, I need a Thor, and it's an expensive figure, and I don't have an extra and all this stuff. And he was like, I got you, man. And he sent me that Thor, and then as soon as I got it in the mail, I couldn't rest until I was done with that figure. So I worked on it for probably 4 or 5 days straight and finished it.
But it is fantastic. Is how the part around the hole? Is that green? No, wait a minute. That's the straps?
Yeah. So that's
really?
I cut the belt straps that come with the Mythic Legions figure, and then I glued little craft rhinestones to it. So and then I painted it obviously to look like rivets, but underneath that's like multicolored little gemstone things. It's made for like decorating your iPhone case or something. I don't know.
But it's perfect.
I did do green stuff for like the leather around that, like the continued belt around it. But that's like the extent of what I can do with green stuff. I'm horrible at working with it.
Well, just continue working with it.
I'm working on it.
Well, when I did the ones for Legion's Con, a friend of mine, this one, Sculptor Vaseline
Mhm.
and sculpting tools. That's that good idea.
I never heard of that before you mentioned it to me. So
Yeah.
I still need to get some.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Or I mean, I've started to play with it, and it's anyway. Let's move on.
Sure.
So this is the Batman tribute, and first of all, you see it's the same head sculpt, or maybe you don't, but it's the same head sculpt that I used for Captain America. And so one of these rules that I didn't say earlier, but that's a secondary rule that I have, that I don't want to use the same head sculpt for any Marvel custom. But since this was not Marvel, I figured I would allow myself to have separate rules for DC universe and the Marvel universe. So by painting the Batman head in another color, or I mean, the fallen head sculpt
Mhm.
in a different way, it really ended up, I mean, feeling like a totally different head to me.
No, it's got a different vibe for sure.
Yeah. So, and here I just included to the right the photos. So this is a Max Bird cape. But other than the cape and the head, that's the original parts. Here is one of those things that I put the pieces together, took a photo, and colored it. I think it was on my phone, but it might have been on the computer actually. I really something simple, because I straight off realized that I wanted to go with black and gray. I mean, to have it fully black, I figured I needed more details. The thing is, this is one of the things that I always loved Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a model that is, I mean, that the bat on Batman's chest is fatter, if you so will, on Frank Miller, but this is kind of somewhere in the middle. But once I had decided on the color schemes, I had another look in the book, and I realized, oh man, he is gray and blue there in that book. But I still had decided for the colors.
I was thinking to Jim Lee's Batman, but he was gray and blue too, wasn't he?
That I don't know. I don't know that.
Oh.
This is maybe it's we should do. Now I forgot his name. The TV series Batman.
The artist for it?
No. The TV series who oh, come on, anyone. The actor who played Batman in the TV show.
I can't think of his name right now either.
Anyway.
Okay. Kevin Conroy, right? Kevin Conroy? Is that his name?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Anyway, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, Adam West?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the animated series.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Adam West, and you're two pretty fast ones here. Thank you. He's still that's still an excellent series, actually. Oh yeah, this is a good question. Why did you decide on armored legs instead of bare? Okay, so this is the most logical way of doing this one would be to go bare legs and bare arms. And that was my first thought, but then instantly I kind of made the connection that I wanted him to feel more like a the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight, the medieval knight. So that's something that I played with in my head. and I thought it felt Mythic Legions. So that's the only ideas. I mean, that's the only thought behind that. So here we have Frankenberry. And before you start talking about this, because I read the comments and so many were super excited, and trust me, I love the custom, but to me, I have no idea who Frankenberry is.
Oh yeah,
So to
really?
me, it was like, this is a cool custom, but and everyone was super excited, and I'm like, it has something to do with cereals. So
Yeah.
I'm handing it over to you. What?
Yeah, so Frankenberry is a cereal that's been around for forever, decades and decades and decades. They only bring it back at Halloween time, so you can't buy it all the time. Actually,
Oh,
I just got this year's box of Frankenberry at Target. So I wait for it all year round. It's a nostalgia thing for sure, but I don't remember when I got the idea for that one, but I know Brian showed me Captain Crunch would be cool. I never thought of it, but now that I mean, like, yeah, that would be cool. Brian made that he calls it the Doc Frank monster head,
mhm.
I think. And that's one of my favorite sculpts that I've seen anyone do. I've painted it a ton of times, whatever. And I think one of the times I was painting it, I was just like, this would be cool to do as like a I think I went to Frankenstein's monster, and then I was like, Frankenberry though, like the cereal. And it was one of those ideas that was like, man, that's stupid. I'm gonna get torn apart if I make a figure based on a breakfast cereal. Everyone will hate it, all this stuff. And then it was like one of those things where I would be driving to work and just thinking about it. And then I'd be sitting at work and I'd be thinking about it. And then I'd drive home from work and I'd be thinking about it then too. And then I was like, okay, I think I got to do it. Originally I was just going to do the head, and I was going to do 3 heads. I was going to do the Frankenberry, I was going to do a Boo Berry head, and a Count Chocula head, which are all breakfast cereal, like Halloween themed breakfast cereals. And then I'll start with Frankenberry. And then by the time I made the head, I was like, I really just want to make a whole figure for it. And I thought it would be fun too, because he's a monochromatic character. It's all shades of red, and pinks and maroons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would be fun to do a monochromatic figure too. And yeah, he ended up being one. He's maybe my most talked about custom. Whenever people come up to me at cons or whatever, like, he's usually the one people talk about. And I think that's cool. I'm glad it didn't bomb, and I'm glad people don't think I'm ridiculous for making a breakfast cereal figure. But
You went with your gut feeling here that you had to
yeah,
do it because you thought it was fun.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was super fun.
And that's
So much
one of
fun.
the rules.
I'll tell you what's not fun is printing and folding 30 miniature boxes of Frankenberry cereal.
I was gonna ask about that. How did you do that? I mean, could you find it online somewhere?
Yeah,
that you
it's just like a paper craft thing online. And I found the right scale and printed out a ton of them. And I would sit there with my free time at work and just make little boxes of cereal.
But I mean, and then how you did the bowl with the skull, like Nate said. Genius touch, he said.
Yeah, I was looking for a 1/12 scale bowl, and I couldn't find anything that I liked. And then it just dawned on me at one point, what if I hollowed out a skull and did it? And then actually I thought, I did a trade for a Hagnon head a while back, and I didn't know, and the person that traded it to me didn't know, but it was a cast. And I know casts are big no-nos in the Mythic Legions community, so it sat at the bottom of my fodder bin for a long time. But then when I had this idea, I was like, okay, I think that might be something where no one would blame me for using a cast for cutting the head off and filling it with fake cereal. So I did that.
The skull, the spoon, the cereals, and all the packages, that makes it whole. That makes it complete.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people here who's saying that you need to complete the series
I would like to.
and all the little parts.
My idea was to do Boo Berry with a Hagnon, but then I saw a million people make blue Hagnons, and then blue Hagnon became like one of the most polarizing things in the Mythic Legions community, I think, and I just was kind of over it. So I'm gonna wait for something different to strike me on that one.
Yeah. You have to follow your heart there. Like, this is what sparks your inspiration right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was one that the only things I added to this is Mystique from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Only thing I added here was the skulls on the belt and on the forehead. So and I'm gonna say one thing. I'm really happy with the paints on this one. Both the hair, the blue tones, but maybe most with the white.
Mm-hmm.
Because getting white to look good, that's not easy. And I when I did this one, I hope I have it written down somewhere. But I was really happy with how this turned out.
When you showed it to me, that's my first thought too. Is, man, that's a lot of white, and it looks really good. I avoid solid white at all costs when I'm painting.
Yeah.
But yours is nice and smooth, and it's striking, and it's for Mystique, it's like it's gotta be solid white. If it's not going to be solid white, it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't be her at all.
Yeah, and I love the skulls too. I mean, she doesn't have a lot going on her costume. It's just like a white dress, white boots, and then she's got the skull belt. So it's one of those things you got to recreate.
Yeah, and this was fun. I bought the skulls and cut them in half, and I was just very happy with it. Just wanted to show everyone that, because the sad part about this is the rule to only use one head one time for Marvel is that now I've used this head.
Yeah.
And this is the most beautiful yet released female head sculpt.
Yeah. And the Horsemen have used it for different characters, so
yes,
they're not sticking to your rule.
I know. I know, but it's a beautiful head sculpt. There are so many sculpts that that you don't fall for, but this one is like, I've been looking at it so much, like studying it. Like this, the proportion is good. There are many female head sculpts that look a little bit too big. Some of the elves, I think, it looked too big. This size is just, well, to me, okay. So this Kurt is a million layers of white. I don't think so, actually. I think I may be mistaken here, but I think I sprayed it with gray seer, perhaps. I have dry brushed a lot of white on this. And then I've added paint. Maybe it was Seraphim Sepia or something in all the crevices. Maybe not Seraphim. There was some other color that I used and thinned down a lot. And then I just dry brushed, and then I used white on the... So it is actually at least easier than millions of layers. So no, did you airbrush the white? I don't have an airbrush. I have never tried an airbrush. I've been curious a lot about it, but I haven't figured out how to do it at home here, and it looks messy. And when I listened to your class the other week, Eric, it was like, you can get great tones, great nuances and everything, and that's super inspiring. but you also saw negative parts with it, that it was kind of like some of I mean, maybe not fun, maybe fun, but it's like some of the, while this enhanced a lot of it, some of the fun in creating some effects were lost. Did I get that correct? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of frustration that comes along with airbrushing, just by nature. But
Yeah.
if I were to have done this, like, there's no other way I would have done the white. Like, it would have been airbrushed for sure. But I can't believe you got it to lay as thinly and evenly as you did with the brush. Like, that's really hard with true white.
Thank you. Thank you. Then it was good that I showed this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So we move on to this one. The Grinch. Mr. Grinch? Okay,
Yeah.
Eric. Everyone knows the Grinch, or I mean, I guess especially in the US, everyone knows the Grinch.
Yeah.
In Sweden, the Grinch became popular with Jim Carrey, that movie. We don't
really?
read much. Yeah, we don't read much Dr. Seuss over here.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we're all not America.
The Grinch, I mean, I guess Wolf King did most of the hard stuff on that one, right? I would have never had. Well, you know what I was going to say? I would never had the idea to do a Grinch without that head sculpt, but I'm thinking of it, and actually, I remember telling Jeremy this the day before they announced this head.
Hmm?
I was watching the Grinch with my family because it's just Christmas tradition, and the whole time we were watching it, I was thinking it would be so cool to make a Grinch figure, but what in the world would I ever use for a head, And then I remember the next morning waking up and opening up Facebook and seeing that head sculpt, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" So yeah, I was on it instantly, and he ended up being a really fun figure to make. Like, it was fun coming up with the rest of the body. Like, I know they kind of solicited it on a goblin body, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make a full-sized figure. And then the last thing, like, I think I finished the whole Grinch figure and was just kind of like, he needs Max. If he doesn't have Max, then it's not even worth it. So I found that wolf, and I strapped a Mythic Legion's antler to his head and repainted it, and I think that's my favorite part of that figure is the Max custom that goes with it.
It is excellent. I must say, I really love the red. All the armor parts, all the worn
Yeah.
pieces. I mean,
yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun to do.
I love that.
There's a lot of cool tones in there. Like, I didn't want to paint it solid red. So I got a lot of cool gradient tones in it. And then I also felt like a character like the Grinch, like, probably shouldn't look super clean. So I chipped up the armor a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out pretty cool. I have to shout out Noah Pratt on it too, because he's the one that encouraged me. Like, we were talking about, I wanted to give him pauldrons, but I was so sick of every Mythic Legion's pauldron. Like, I was like, I don't want to use those again. I've used them all 15 times and I just don't want to do it anymore. And I think he had said something, or maybe he made a custom recently where I remember what it was. He had made a custom of his own, and he made pauldrons out of different armor pieces from different figures. And I don't remember specifically what. I think they were the skirt pieces, like the side skirt pieces he had cut and used as shoulder pauldrons. He like layered them. And I was like, maybe I can do something like that. And I went through my parts bin and I had some goblin elbow pads. And that's what I used for that. I just glued those to his shoulders, and it fits the character pretty well. It looks cool, I think.
And it's really cool that you made it, because all the bigger pauldrons would have made him too bulky.
Mm-hmm.
The Grinch needs to be thinner on top. You really have to have this shape,
Yeah, I think so too.
I like it a lot.
He was fun.
Here we go. Question from Joe, and Guillermo says hi, and then we have, what was your technique for the weathering?
It really was just taking a small brush with some silver paint. I mean, I had painted the armor in that red color and gotten the gradients, like that's airbrushed. But yeah, the weathering is just a teeny tiny paintbrush and some chrome paint, and I just would go along each edge of the armor and just kind of dab it as I was doing it, just to get little tiny split chips and stuff. So it's tedious, but it comes out looking cool. I wish that there was a quicker way to just like, I think you can look at it and tell that I didn't just dry brush silver over it,
But that is one of the fun parts, to add those things.
Yeah. That was probably the most time-consuming part of that whole custom, was just putting the chips on the armor.
Well worth the time.
Yeah, I'm happy with how it came out.
So, what are these hashtags? All hail. It's Miller. Okay, we make those fast.
I shouldn't have taken a drink right before that came up on this.
Sorry. So we have quite a few slides left.
Sure.
And I mean, everyone who's following the live, you can, just pop off whenever you want to and come back and see this later or anything. Do you still have the time? Time to continue?
Oh, I'm great on time. I know it's the middle of the night for you, so whenever you need to get off. But right now, I've got the whole evening. So.
But then let's just take this time and continue enjoying this,
sure.
Okay? And
as long as you want to.
Yeah, I have questions for some of your. We have about 10 figures left, I think.
Okay.
So let's continue. Okay, Deadpool. This head sculpt. It started with a head sculpt. I did it as for the God's Fire series, and for me and Steven's fictional series where we create characters. And so this was going to be some kind of army builder, but of course it's the most simple kind of head, It's a masked one, like. So I instantly, I admit it, I started doing this, and then I quite early in the process, like, I'm gonna do Deadpool. Once this is done, I'm not gonna. He still has. You can see his skin here, though I painted it black here because, by just doing the eyes, of course, that would have been Deadpool, and that would have been really cheating according to my personal rules. Oh, just thank you so much for saying this, and it's we are like I say, I'm just really enjoying this time together with Eric now, and everyone who's here. So it's great to have you here, Jesse. So I also just want to include it for this one. I've sculpted the swords, so the swords and the head are sculpted, and the swords are more like ninjutsu or ninjato. I think there are like fictional fancy swords, ninjato swords. Of course, they work perfectly with him, to me. So painting these, I started with the first picture to the left. I colored it on my phone, just dabbling on it. In this one, I included 3 photos of the coloring process, just because in the middle one, I colored it the same way, but on the computer using Photoshop. And I realized I didn't want that version, so I recolored it to the one to the right. This way I could see the layout of the parts easier. It's too much red for me in the middle one, but the middle one is more following the color schemes of the movie, and one of the comic versions, but I prefer the one with a lot more black.
I think he made the right choice there for sure.
Yeah. I think, for example, for the arms, I mean, it would have been too much red. I mean, it really breaks it off with having the. Is it called chins or what are these called? No, not
Just like
chin.
the forearm.
Yeah, the forearms. Yeah, exactly, the forearm. So that's it.
That's a great custom. I mean, it's 2 colors, but it's super iconic. And I always thought, like, I've always been more of a fan of Deadpool's look than any other thing about his character.
Me too.
I'm not a big Deadpool fan at all. Like, I love the look of the character, but everything else, I don't really care for.
Yeah.
But your custom embodied it. It looks like a Mythic Legions figure too. I mean, it looks like it's in that world. Way more than it does like a superhero world, you know. And I think it's really cool. I think the red is in just the right places and the black is in just the right places, and it just came together really, really well.
Thank you. That was my goal for it. And I must just on a side note, I love Deadpool.
Yeah.
the movies as well.
You know, they're pretty over the top for my taste, but I have seen them, and I am surprised by how much I do like them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get it.
There's beyond all the jokey and the disgusting and all that, there's a lot of heart in those movies, actually. And I do like that.
Yeah. So nice compliment by Joe here. The clean paintwork. Well, I fake everything and smooth them out in Photoshop. No, doing our best. There are techniques, and there are like, well, there's so many different ways. We don't go into that right now. We continue instead with the Vision. Here we have. Oh, isn't that cape from the real Vision figure?
It is. And I hate it, but it's the only thing that worked.
This was really, really cool one. And I know how many times you asked me about when I was going to do a Vision.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing Avengers, is Vision next? Is Vision next?
Yeah.
And then your kind of question, like, would you be? I'm not sure if you said, would you be offended or would you be okay with me doing Vision, because I just can't wait for it, and you doesn't seem to have it in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't own Marvel. It's not. I'm not the only one making tribute figures with Marvel. Of course you can do it.
Definitely your thing, though, was the Avengers customs. I knew because I was never going to do Vision, because I always hoped that you would. And then I remember when you did, I think it was the Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You said that it was the last in the series.
Did I?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I guess he's not going to do it. So I figured if you weren't going to do it, then I needed to.
I must say, this way of doing Vision with the hands, I mean, this is perfect. And you promised that I could have photos with him together with the rest, right?
Yeah, I'm holding you to that, actually.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so, I want to put him with your Avengers and take a picture.
We thank you, Curtis, but we are putting up an act. We are both members of some strange organizations, and we try to lure you in, my friend. So you
Please know that he's joking.
Oh yeah, yes, we're joking. We are joking. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
okay, that's funny. I want them to be arrogant and mean. Please go and visit My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast if you want that. We are the tender souls. Okay.
I love those
So,
guys so much, and I was so worried about meeting them because I was just like, oh my gosh, there's no way we're gonna get along, just because of our personalities. But
mhm.
I get along with them great, and they're some of my favorite people to be around. So
And the warmest hugs of all Legion's Con.
yeah, it was great getting to spend more time with them at PowerCon too. They're all amazing guys.
So, just gonna say the fades really bring it together. This is a great feedback. Um,
Thank you.
this is wonderful with everything it's perfect. That was a really clever idea of doing this tribute. And
That was one of the things that I like. That was I don't know if it was the first thing I thought about, but I wanted to do some sort of phasing something with him, just because I think that's one of the cool aspects of that character.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fan of translucent toys and stuff like that. I just like the look. So I really wanted to. And actually, it was pretty unintentional. I was going to do an all solid version of him. I actually had the pieces set aside to do it just all solid because Hagnon was not easy to come by at the time and stuff like that. But I put out a post on the Cabal. I was looking for just the crotch armor piece of Hagnon because I wanted to make a gold skeleton because I don't have a gold skeleton. And he has that piece. And Bill, Dorklayer Bill, was like, I got you, just give me your address. And so he sent me that piece. But then when I opened the box, he was like, I threw some extras in, enjoy, or something. And it was the whole armor set for Hagnon.
What? Did he know that you wanted it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I said anything about it. I was just asking for the one piece, but he sent me all of it. And as soon as I opened that box, I was like, yes, that vision, I'm going to do him phasing. It's going to be great. That was the thing that really got me really jazzed to make that figure.
Yeah, this brought a big smile to my face when I saw it the first time because it was like perfect.
I appreciate that. That head was that was actually my plan B head, but it ended up working so much better. And I tried to keep your Avengers in mind when I was making this one. And I know the techniques aren't exactly the same because I used quite a bit of an airbrush, but when I was thinking about light and shadow and things, I was thinking about your figures because I wanted to make a figure that looked like it would fit in with those stylistically.
And stylistically, it fits perfectly. And that head sculpt by Seba, perfect again.
Yeah. And I specifically made sure to not use an airbrush on the head sculpt because I wanted it to fit in more with yours. And I thought about too with the torso and the yellow part of the torso, I wanted it to kind of look the way that your Captain America did. So I kind of stuck to the same boundary lines when I was painting, or I don't think they're the same, but they're close. And then just the way that you kind of shaded each individual muscle on your figures, I tried to keep that too.
Yeah, I can keep looking at this all day. I really, really like it. So
I wanted to originally, the red shield soldier torso armor that has the triangular piece that comes up the center and down. I wanted to try to cut that torso there and shape the bear torso to fit on top of it so that it looked like that yellow pattern. But I didn't realize how small that red shield soldier torso is.
No.
There's no way it would work. But it would have looked cool if it were to scale. I think, and it would have been one of those things that people were like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? But
this one has enough of that, the use of parts, and it's like, okay. So Steven is just offering, if they want more arrogancy on this show, we should have invited him. Yeah.
That would be a
Well,
fun dynamic.
I'm gonna take care of him. We're staying at the same room at Legion's Con again. Yeah. So this this is the second to last of the Avengers I did, and it was fun to see because many were talking about, okay, maybe Hulk will be ogre size, and to me it was always like, I need to try to do this. Hulk really needs to stand out, and because the ogres are too thin for me. I mean, when I envision Hulk.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, okay, I have to try this one. It took a lot of time. I mean, for example, everything is repainted. The only resculpted thing is the head. And of course, you can see it on the photos to the right. It's the stone troll, where I carved out teeth and, well, stuff. And then I used green stuff, and that was something interesting. This was before I had the sculptor Vaseline, and before I had used green stuff some on miniatures a long time ago, just to fill in cracks and maybe do some small things. But that was many years ago, and it's like, this was tricky. It was really tricky to use. I mean, but it's so I had to study some anatomy just to get the feeling. And someone said that you should cut off the ears to make them more round, more like Hulk. But always this balance about making it feel enough Mythic Legions, because this is not the Hulk. I mean, I could redo. I mean, you can print everything as 3D sculpts, and you have it exactly as it is. But this is not that version. This is the Mythic Legion Hulk. And I didn't think I could take the body parts apart. So except for the head, I painted everything on place. And painting that cloth, that was tricky.
Oh yeah.
It was so tricky to paint it without it totally messing up everything.
So that's the soft goods that were on the figure.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never realized that.
Oh no, it's only the head that I modify. The rest is just paints. So that's it's awesome. It was really interesting to spray it. I mean, to base coat it while that piece of cloth was still on.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're all learning.
Yeah. I have to say too, I mean, for someone who doesn't know what green stuff is, the stuff that you use to sculpt, they would look at that and think, oh, that stuff must be really easy to use because that looks awesome. It is not. It is nightmarish to use, in my opinion. I am awful at it, and it's the most frustrating substance I think I've ever come into contact with. And the fact that you're able to take it and make it into something like that just blows my mind.
Well, you know that, without me spoiling anything, you know that 2 of the 4 Legion's Con figures that I've done are using a lot of green stuff, especially one of them, and that's been the longest project for a custom ever. Anyway, let's move on. I'm gonna not telling anyone about those 4. It's super hard, but I'm following your lead. I need to be able to do this. Let's move on. Okay. Take us away. What do we have here?
So this one is probably one of my least obvious tributes, I guess, but that's supposed to be April O'Neil to go with my Ninja Turtle orcs. And then the simple Templar repaint at the bottom is just a foot soldier for her to have killed on the battlefield, I guess. But I don't know. I wanted to do an April for a long time. A lot of people wanted me to do an April, but I just figured it would come out looking just like Gwendolyn Heaven's brand. Like, it's going to look exactly like a figure that already exists, so why should I even bother? And then someone gave me the idea and said, well, you should do her as a barbarian. And I swear it was Guillermo, but he doesn't think it was him. But yeah, I never thought about that, and I was like, oh, a barbarian could be cool. So I gave her the bear parts, and still kind of armored up more than a typical barbarian. But yeah, painted the gold and blue. I had a lot of fun painting that gold and blue. There's a lot of detail in there. And then yeah, just the Gwendolyn head that I basically just repainted the hair. That's one of the few customs where I didn't repaint the face. I mean, I really didn't have a reason to. But I just repainted the hair to make it look more red. And then I gave her, it's hard to tell in this photo and the way I had her posed in there, but along the baseline of that armor, she has a tribal tattoo that goes all the way around her body. And what it is it's a Polynesian style tattoo. And I hope that I'm being respectful to Polynesian culture, because this is all Google, and I was hesitant to do it because I don't want to offend anyone. So if it's not accurate, please don't kill me. But it's a Polynesian style tattoo that in the symbol means turtle. Oh. So it helps to just tie it into the lore. So yeah, I went with that. And I thought it was a cool idea, and I hope that I didn't make a mistake by doing that, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That was a really cool idea, and I think it was a good idea to have the soldier that she's standing on with the banner. It adds a lot to the tribute that you. I mean, if you don't instantly see April, then with the details around, then it's like, of course it is. You know?
Yeah. I wanted to do that to just kind of help drive the point home. And then I had the struts made me those ribbons that are tied to the halberd, just to kind of have the bandana colors of the turtles in there, and that really adds to the piece too. And I do think, for as simple as pretty much all of this is, the composition as a whole, with the diorama piece and the foot soldier and the banner coming out of the back with the halberd going up, and then the bandana tails kind of flowing in the wind, I do think that it's one of the coolest like actual compositions that I've done.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent. Will you bring this year as well?
I will. I probably won't set it up with the diorama for space issues, but I'll bring it. I'll have it there.
Oh, that's good. So it seems like Curtis is taking credit for this partly.
Yeah, that's true.
Only 80%. Only 80%. You can get the rest 20% of this one.
I try so hard to remember all the people that have helped me out by trading me parts and stuff, and it's hard to do, but I do remember that one. I remember Curtis hooking me up with that Gwendolyn. That's not an easy head to get a hold of. Yeah. I don't remember what I traded for it, but I remember thinking that it was pretty one-sided.
A knight, a Templar head or something.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but yeah.
Okay. So I just want to answer this question from, let's see, Guillermo first. Sculpting is super hard. Did you use alcohol to wet it and sculpt better? Oh, you mean if I drank alcohol to sculpt better? I did not drink alcohol to sculpt better, and I did not use alcohol to wet it. That's something that I learned. I used water at that time. So it's just recently that I used the Sculptor Vaseline for these last customs. And Arthur asked this: can Milliput do the same trick as green stuff does? Yes, not exactly. It's Milliput is cheaper, and it's you can build bigger stuff out of it. It's more sticky. The wet substance more like goo. So for the fine details, you should use green stuff. I've heard about brown stuff as well. I think it's called. I've not tried that. It supposedly hardens even more than green stuff does. I've not tried it. So just to remember you, or to remind you. So
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's move on. So this one, Magneto. This is the Lord Perosa head of the God's Fire series, the main villain of our me and Steven's series. And I mean, if you see it like this, you see the colors. But if you look close at the head, it's like snakes and plenty of things that has nothing to do with Magneto. And in most versions of Magneto, he doesn't have the beard as well. But when I saw this one coming together, then I got this feeling that I needed to make a Magneto out of this. So that's the only. Well, of course, the cape. The cape is also a custom one from Max Bird. Otherwise, this is something that I was really grateful for. I got to buy this red torso, or I mean the red demon, Balfagor. No,
Yeah, Belphegor.
Balfagor. I got to buy one from John in the UK or Luxembourg for a great price. It was really that he was just kind to me because that was so nice of him to sell it such a good price. So I could use them as a base. I have added shading to it and some red highlights, but basically I'm using it. It was so much easier to use the red body. Okay. And I was happy with how this come together, this piece. So I just carved everything inside of it. So it just sits like it should, using the back pegs. I'm getting tired with
It's very late/early for you, right?
yeah, it is. I'm gonna sleep more tomorrow night. So that's it. I like how we
He's
feel
awesome.
bigger.
I remember you telling me you were going to make a Magneto, like you just kind of said it nonchalantly, like, yeah, next I think I'm going to do a Magneto, and you just went on talking about something else, and I remember thinking, what the heck is he going to use to make a Magneto? Like, and I hadn't seen that head sculpt by that point, and then you showed me the sculpt, and it made sense. It's perfect for it.
Yeah. This cape works a lot, though. I'm very happy for the cape.
Mm-hmm.
It's here, please. I think I help me out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this is.
Most people don't. I didn't know that you selected that one to put on here. That's cool.
I selected it because I really needed to know who this is, and
Sure.
I wanted to ask you publicly.
The only person who has ever seen that and said, "Hey, that's this character," and they had it right, was Israel Ramirez.
Yeah.
He saw it at Legion's Con. So it's kind of a roundabout tribute. It's a character that exists, but the reason that I gravitated towards that character was because a band that I love kind of adapted that character as like an unofficial mascot. So I really don't know a lot about the character himself other than his involvement with this band, but it's a tribute to a character that's called Zippy the Pinhead, which is like an independent comic from like the 70s. And he became kind of an unofficial mascot for the Ramones, who's like my favorite band ever. So I wanted to do a Ramones tribute. So I figured Zippy the Pinhead would be the way to do it. And that's a head from my action figure customs. It's another one of those ones where I saw the head and then I thought, that's Zippy the Pinhead. I'm going to do it. You know, that head almost looks exactly like that character.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost. If they said it was intentional, I would believe them. And it's almost where if they said it wasn't intentional, I don't know if I would believe them.
Okay.
But yeah, he's basically like a circus clown character. And you know, with the Ramones, they would do a song called Pinhead every show, and then they would have someone in the Zippy costume come out and dance on stage. And there was a line in that song that it says "Gabba Gabba Hey," which was taken from have you ever seen the movie Freaks from, I think it was the 30s. People use it as like a GIF a lot online.
Okay.
The GIF of the people slamming their hands at the table saying, "One of us, one of us, one of us." It's from that. They said like "Gooble gobble, one of us" or something, and the Ramones turned that into "Gabba Gabba." And then so Zippy would hold. Man, I'm butchering this conversation right now. So guy in a Zippy costume would dance, and he would hold up a sign that says "Gabba Gabba Hey." And on his shield there, I found runes online, like a rune sheet, and it says "Gabba Gabba Hey" in some runic language.
Excellent job, and thank you for the explanation.
It's a lot of thought went into it, and it's really involved. And it's another one of those ones where if you don't get it, you're just like, okay, he made like a clown guy. But there's
it's cool.
a lot that went into it.
We shall see Legion's Con. What more? Who will see this? Okay, we have just a few more slides now.
Sure.
So Spider-Man. Basically, I want you to do Spider-Man just after Avengers, because Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah.
So body parts was pretty easy to decide. It was just all about the head. And the thing is, I've always loved the big Todd McFarlane eyes. But to make it work without, I mean, what other characters in the world than Spider-Man has those? I mean, it would be obvious. So I kind of abandoned that idea and thought, okay, I think it works really good with just this knight's helmet felt a little bit too long. So just by taking down the top and the chin, it made it, well, it works.
It looks fantastic.
Spider-Man is Spider-Man. The colors is, so it's a lot for free, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one where just the right placement of the right colors gives it the Spider-Man vibe. Like, there's literally nothing there but the colors that has anything to do with Spider-Man. But you would be hard-pressed to find someone who looked at it and didn't immediately think, that's Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I used the chain in some of the photos. So it's like hanging on the in a chain. There are so many layers of red here. And it's probably not visible, but I mean, I had done a couple of layers of red, different nuances, and then my wife said it's not red enough. And I was like, ugh. And then I slept, and then I went up the next morning. It's like, she's right, it doesn't pop.
Those colors are perfect. Yeah. But one of the things I love about it too, which I think was probably pretty serendipitous, is that belt that's on it has the shape where it kind of has that upside down triangle.
Yes.
And it works perfectly for Spider-Man.
That is one of the things that I was thinking that I really liked about it.
Yeah.
And the dots on the chest. I know someone said you should have painted the spider, but it kind of would have been too obvious. So it's kind of like these black dots can insinuate.
Yeah, no, I think that works perfectly. I probably would have done the same thing. You know?
Thank you. So, this is an epic piece. Your job on this. I mean, you said that Frankenberry was one of your most attention drawer last year. I mean but this one must have been one of the other ones who was really. So much work, so much detail. The Rat King.
Yeah, he's a cool one. And he's one that I look back on and I don't remember the process that much, but he's one where he is greater than the sum of his parts. Like, I look at that one and I'm just like so proud. Like I feel like I'm looking at something that I did not create. Like it's hard to explain. Like I look at that and I just think that thing looks really cool. And I don't really equate it to something that I did. I don't
Really?
know. I just like shock myself or something. And that probably sounds really arrogant and
No,
I hope
if
it
it may
doesn't,
be
but
from someone else, but not from you.
um
You must allow yourself to be proud.
it's pretty cool. And whenever I look at that figure, I think that everyone's going to be disappointed by what I'm doing for Legions Con this year. Like, I just don't know if I can top that figure. That I think that Rat King's probably the single coolest thing I've ever done. It just came out better than I could have even imagined it. It's like, you know, how I said earlier, how you paint the parts and you hope that they look good when you put them together. He was one that I painted the parts and like really had no idea. And then when I put it together, I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is awesome. And the rats help drive it home too. Like I don't Josh Mez, Mr. Mezcad printed those rats for me, and without him that piece would not have pulled together the way that it does, for sure.
The rats are an important part, of course, to bind it all together, because the Rat King without rats, it's losing something. It makes it, I mean, you have to think maybe a little bit too long to see it, you know? But with the rats, you're instantly there.
I feel like a lot of people, I had to explain it to a lot of people, but once I did, they were like, oh, okay, I get it. But I think they just thought it looked like a cool figure first.
That's good enough, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
And I mean,
really... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, but I mean, it's not like if you know the turtles, not everyone who loves turtles knows about the Rat King. Seriously.
Yeah, I guess so.
I must say for myself, I'm super proud to see that head sculpt being used on this. It's almost like so proud to see it used like this.
Yeah. That head sculpt is amazing. That I think that is my single favorite third-party piece that's out there.
Now that means a lot.
Yeah,
that means a lot to hear.
I didn't know a lot about like Steve's involvement with it either when I made it, but at Legions Con he was like, well, you know, I designed that head, and Emil sculpted it, and I was like, oh no, that's awesome, you know. And he told me how much he liked it, and it's cool. I mean, I like, even more so than it's a piece that fits the bill perfectly and looks good. Like, I love the fact that I can tell people, one of my friends sculpted this, and then all I did was paint it. But it's really, you know, their vision.
And all I did was paint it. Come on.
But still, like, it's cool to be able to tell people, like, especially people who don't understand the hobby, because to them, like, you're just painting toys or whatever. But when I say, like, no, there's a whole community around this, and there's a lot of artists in there, and, like, you know, I painted this, but my friend Emil, who lives in Sweden, sculpted this head, and my friend Steve designed that head. And I can say, you know, my friend Seba, who lives in Spain, sculpted the turtle shell pauldron that's on there. And, you know, like, it's just like, it's cool just to be able to say, like, these people are my friends, and it's outrageous to me that we could be viewed as peers, because you guys are so much higher on any tier than I can imagine myself being on. But
wait a minute. What are you talking about now? I'm serious. I'm dead serious now. What are you talking about? Because I followed you until these last sentences, because that's when I'm not following you.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that people could think of me on the same kind of level as, like, you or Seba or, you know, these other amazing artists.
But that's cool. On that you can flip that around. I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can. It's just your own view of yourself, because me getting to do this with you, well, Yeah, I have to work with you on this one to really make you understand how good you are, and how you're using two big words for about me. So let's continue.
All right.
Wait a minute. We need to say Curtis just first of all like this. Love the effect on the torso,
Thanks.
and I look up to both of you. Well, thank you, Art. The amazing thing with this entire community is really that it's kind of like we're all doing this together in one way. We're all individuals doing our thing wherever we are, and we enjoying this hobby from our different, even if we're collecting or customizing or painting or sculpting or whatever we're doing. But the thing is, to be able to be a part of all of this with friends, I feel extremely privileged to have this community. It's yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah,
We're gonna.
that's what I was trying to say. You
But
said it a lot better than I did. But yeah.
Yeah, you were all mumbling like, "Yeah, everyone is so much better than me, and I get to be stuff." So this is well, we only have this and two more slides of the customs. The saber tooth I did the other day. This one has been in the works for a long time. I've been thinking and pondering about this for a long time. What parts to use? Well, some of the parts were decided quite well directly. But as you can see, I mean, this is up to the right corner. This statue here. This is just me showing what kind of references I'm looking for. So I have like mainly 3-4 photos of different versions of Sabretooth. This down here is a sketch I did on my phone before I decided to work with a hair idea to add some, or as Len would say, spaghetti hair or something, because it doesn't look like real hair, but it's like, okay, I'm learning. We're all learning. This version down here, it needed the hair. It needed something up, but I needed put yellow hair. You know, I was looking for the color. I needed yellow hair. So at one time I was thinking about making just a bold yellow surface. Could have worked, but I took the liberty of, I mean, I wasn't adding any third party stuff, so I figured that I could afford to add some green stuff on the hair. So as here. And one other thing, from the beginning I had the big I think you can see it. No, not on that photo. I was looking at using the evil legs, the thicker legs with the spikes, but just realized that that's not Sabretooth, because he's, like you can see on the sculpt, he's very slim, like a jumpsuit, or what do you say? Like a one-piece suit or something, so it needs to be tight. Other than that, it was really happy to get this the fur from friends as well, from Eddie and his wife Heather. Heather had bought an extra that I could get, could buy.
Talk about amazing people.
Yeah,
they're great.
They are so amazing.
People around, yeah. I love what I love about that. I think I told you this too when you showed me this figure. I love that you used the heroic armor set for the legs, because it does help with the keeping the legs looking slender. But the evil armor set for the forearms is perfect for Sabretooth because it has that piece that juts out, that sharp piece. It's exactly like the kind of spike that he has coming out of his elbow. So that fits the character perfectly. So it's a nice, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, well, if I'm going to use the evil armor set, then I'm going to use the whole evil armor set. And this one is a nice mix of both in a way that makes sense for the character. And I love the heroic pauldron set that you used that kind of continues the white from the fur. And again, it's like stylistically, it makes so much sense for the character. And if it wasn't a Sabretooth figure, I don't know if it would work as well, but because it's a Sabretooth figure,
Mm-hmm.
it makes so much more sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a creative touch that not many people would have when approaching it from that aspect. You know, I don't think a lot of people would think to continue that fur with pauldrons.
No.
And to have the colors stay the same and work together in that way.
I think that this is what I enjoy the most when creating customs, to think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they succeed or not, I think this is among the absolutely most fun things to do. At the first, I had prepared to have this part of the fur to be brown, to go down with the body. But once I had it all white and tested the pieces, I was like, isn't the old Sabretooth, he has fur all the way around? And it's like, yeah, he does. So this is a mixed version, because this is not going fully on one version, of course. It's a version inspired by Tomoyuki. Thank you, Tomo.
Thank you.
And thank you, Curtis. That was fun when it started to carve the beard into two pieces. So I carved it, and I also had to cut a lot below, underneath it, because to have it work with the fur color. What is mutton chops? Is that?
Yeah, that's what the beard style would be called. Like big sideburns that come down. We call it mutton chops.
Thank you. Cool. Oh, so thank you. Let's continue. 2 more figures, one of each, and then we're just gonna go to the last part of this show.
I was worried we were gonna go short, but we're filling some time. This is really fun. I'm really glad we did this. I love this.
I have had a lot of fun with you. So this one, now I know who this is. From what? But when I saw it, this was one of those like Frankenberry, like whoom, went over my head. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's another one where it's like, if you know, you know, but if you don't, you're like, what is this? You know, I think a lot of people think that he's a headless horseman, which I guess he kind of works in that way. But I mean, it's a tribute to the Hatbox Ghost from the Haunted Mansion ride at specifically Disneyland. So he exists in one place in the world, and he's just a cool character that I wanted to redo. I love the Haunted Mansion in general. I've never been to the Disneyland one, so I've actually never seen Hatbox Ghost in person. I've only seen pictures of him, but he's such an iconic character, and I love Disney parks in general. Like it's the main thing that my family and I get to do together. Like, you know, me and my wife and my kids, we all bond over our love of Disney parks and Disney history and Imagineering history and things like that. It's something that we all get. You know, it's cool to be able to sit down and watch a documentary with your 9-year-old son and have him be as invested as you are, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one where I wanted to do a Haunted Mansion tribute, and I saw that head from Seba, and I thought that looks like a Hatbox Ghost. I mean, it's good. And I wanted to do 2 heads. He actually had 2 different versions of that head. One of them's kind of screaming, and the other one's smiling. And I was going to do one on the body and one in the box, because that's the whole gimmick of the Hatbox Ghost in the ride, is that he has a face, and the face disappears from his body and it reappears in the hat box. So I was going to kind of make that gimmick, but that head sculpt is way too big to fit on that body, but it looks good when he's holding it in front of him.
It does.
In the hat box. And then the other, I mean, it's cool to do like a ghostly tribute. And I kind of did the same thing I did with Vision on this one with the cape. It's a clear cape that's kind of goes from clear to solid. But a big part of the Haunted Mansion ride is that all the ghosts are glowing this like ethereal blue color, you know. So I painted him regularly, and then I did another layer of basically clear glow in the dark paint. So if you hit him with a black light, it glows, and it's like the exact effect that I wanted.
It is such a great idea. It is such a great idea.
Thank you. I'm glad people like it.
Was there many people at Legion's Con who recognized this? Is
Yeah.
this so? So is it like if you're it's like most Americans know this, or Disney interested people, or I mean, of
Yeah.
course, interested people, of course.
You have to be into Disney parks to know of that character. He's never like, you know, it's not a character that it's not like Mickey Mouse where he's like everywhere. You have to know. But I was shocked by the amount of people that were at Legion's Con that knew instantly who it was.
Well, I think it's really cool. Really cool.
Thank
Have you built the diorama as well?
Yeah. That is, if you go to Walt Disney World and ride the Haunted Mansion, that's the queue line. So you'll walk by that exact spot in the queue right before you go into the ride, which is cool. I had a lot of help with it. I sculpted the diorama out of XPS foam, but the fence posts that come up I had those printed by Anthony Velez at Noble Bear Customs. The headstones were there's actually a character in that headstone called Madame Leota. That's another part of the ride. And that was sculpted by J.M. Harris, I think his name is. And then the headstone itself was printed by Noble Bear. And Mr. Mezcad helped me kind of organize all of that stuff. So
this is so awesome. There's so many people that you're working with. You know that there's no end to the possibilities of what you can create, because I mean, because of the friends, right? With everyone brings their thing to the table.
And I literally could not do it without them. I don't have the ability to 3D print parts. I don't know how to 3D sculpt things. I just don't have the ability to do that on my own. So I'm very grateful to those people for being willing to help me out and to kind of help that vision become a reality. It's cool when it all comes together.
This is, yeah, I love it. And just Curtis referring to about the mutton chops when he was telling me to give a sculpt mutton chops. Well, of course I had, what is it? Anyway, moving on to this one, and this is something that I posted just today or 2 days ago, perhaps. My Spawn figure, and I know we're talking about not adding as little non-original parts as possible. With this one, of course, I used the head that I sculpted that Curtis has written a bio for. So there, it has a story. It's not Spawn, but I use it for Spawn here. Okay, but other than that, it's the cape, of course, and then it's chain, skull, and spikes. Those are the custom things that I've added. So yeah, there's a lot of spikes and stuff, but it's that's the custom part. All the bands are, of course, the leather belts that I've cut to pieces with that.
I love that you did that too.
So that's it.
What were the spikes? What did you make them out of?
Oh, I bought them. This brand called Kromlech, that I bought custom spikes that I cut them off. I drilled them inside small, and I plugged them and connected them, and then I had to add the green stuff afterwards. It took some time.
They're
it was
awesome.
great fun, but it's yeah.
I was telling you when I did my spawn, it's like the spikes on mine are just toothpicks.
They are less expensive than these, though.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I could
Yours is
probably
next
have
level.
them. Yeah, okay.
I love that you went with the bear parts like I did. All armor on mine.
Mm.
I thought it would be cool to do a spawn and not make it medieval spawn, because I feel like it would be so easy to do for Mythic Legions. But you did it so much better than I could have. This is one of my favorite ones I think that you've done. It's amazing. I love it.
That means a lot, Eric. As of now, this is one of my favorites as well. Personal favorites. Yeah, it's like you spend so much time on something. It's like really come to love it.
Yeah.
So
People wonder why we don't want to sell our customs. It's like,
yeah,
we put so much into it, you know.
There's even, I mean, even if someone gave me a big prize, a offer, it's like, yeah, I would be stupid to say no. But on the other hand, I don't want to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
This is my collection. This is my hobby. I really love them. Yeah, I love having them.
Me too.
So one more slide after these are our Instagram accounts if anyone wants to go and see more customs that we're doing in the future. EM_custom parts and Emil.Wickman. I just want to show this one. I just got this today. This are t-shirts that are going to be printed and sold at retrorags limited.com. This is an illustration I did. Maybe, I think it was yesterday. It was 2 years ago since I did this illustration. I collected illustration of many of the major characters in the Mythic Legions line. I just had a lot of fun. I wanted to really make this tribute. And, well, in a week or so, it will be up for sale and will be available to order. So I just wanted to say that.
I'm super excited for those.
Thank you. I want to have one of those t-shirts myself.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can say that of something that you've done yourself, but it's really like
totally fine.
So what do we have here? We have some questions, final questions before we close up. I want to work for a department that names new products in the company that makes green stuff. What a tough gig. This is green stuff. I think they actually just, they call it what it is because everyone is going to call it green stuff anyway. You know, that green stuff. Yeah, let's name it green stuff. Mm-hmm. Love it. So here we have from Drew. Do you use tape to mask off the lines on your torsos? If that was to me, no, I'm not using wrong. I'm not using any lines. These lines are painted. Just yeah. So
you're not masking it at all. You're just painting it by hand.
Yeah.
I don't usually mask things either, and I think about that a lot because I should. But I'm shocked to hear that you didn't mask that
really
black there, because those lines are perfect.
Perfect is a very strong compliment.
Well, those are perfect.
Been waiting for that shirt. Thanks, Mark. I hope you will be happy with it. And here we have Nate. A question for you. Will you be making a Cindy Lou who to go with your Grinch and Max?
I think that is an itch that I've sufficiently scratched. I don't feel a need to go back and make any more Grinch customs.
So thank you for this, Joe. You guys are such a great inspiration to customizers. Keep up the great work. There's so much inspiration. There's very kind of you to say, and there's so much inspiration. It's great to be a part of it, to get to enjoy it together with others. We all inspire each other. What's your beef against nipples? Okay, this is important. We just cut the nipples off when you're doing a custom that is supposed to have a shirt. I mean, you have to cut the nipples off, otherwise it might look like...
When I made my vision, I made a post about that process. Joking, of course. I mean, obviously, I did it. You have to do it for the custom. But I made a post about it, and people acted like I was like a serial killer, like I was sick in the head.
What?
Why would you ever do that? But you have to do it. You have to do it to make those figures.
Yes.
If you left the nipples on them, they would look completely absurd.
Yes. Yes. So cut them off. Yeah, Guillermo, looking forward to see you too at Legion's Con. Oh, I hope everything goes out well. I need to ship my stuff, and I hope there will not be a pandemic that stresses everything and makes it miss the flight. It was horrible last year. Well, of course, I'm super happy that I got to go, but it was so stressful.
Yeah.
Well, each step, we don't have to talk about that now, but it so much. Thank you so much for saying this as well.
Thank you.
And once again, let's continue and inspire each other.
Yeah, I love your work too, Eugene. Your stuff's killer. So I appreciate seeing it all the time.
Yeah, and so much. You're doing it so regularly. That's super impressive. That's a feat by itself. Do you say feat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Andrew, thank you. I've said this before. I will continue to say this. You are a big inspiration. Maybe you're like me and Eric, like really don't want to talk about, look at what we're doing, but we're trying to be brave now and do that. Your way of describing the number of layers that you paint with, I mean the thin down layers. When we talked, what was a long time ago, I've actually tried to mimic that way of doing multiple layers. I'm not doing that enough, but I'm looking and trying to learn. When are your kits releasing again? The kits, well, kits. Which kits are you referring to?
I'm not sure I know either.
Yeah. Well, my Wolf King is opening up the store in a few days, so then most parts would be there at least. So if there are no further questions here, because I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll do this again sometime. If you want to do it, Eric, I would really appreciate it. Sometime in the future.
I'm always down to do something like this. It's a lot of fun for me. I love hanging out with like-minded people. I love being part of the community because this community just means a ton to me. So yeah, I'm always down to do live shows or answer questions or even just talk to people in general. Like if there's people that need to, or not need, but want to like message me and ask questions or whatever, like please do.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, message me with whatever. No strange photos, please. Okay. So, Curtis, we're going to do a video room in the Wolf Den this weekend for anyone working on customs. Hope to see you all there. That's a nice invitation to be a part of the community. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Stay true to yourself, and by that I mean don't turn into Steven. Let Steven be Steven, okay?
There's only one, Steven.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yes, please
Thanks
do
for
this again.
watching,
Thank you.
guys.
Yeah, thank you. This was a long show. This was a
Yeah.
long show.
I thought we were going to go short. I thought it was going to be like less than an hour.
Me too. Me too. Let's just say 1 hour, but don't say it. Let's just pretend that we're gonna make it an hour.
Yeah.
So Tomo 9:30. Well, it's 2:30 here in Sweden. So I am going to bed
You
now.
should.
And
We should definitely.
everyone,
We can do another one of these maybe after Legion's Con, and we can go over the stuff that we did for the con.
let's do that. Let's decide that after Legion's Con. We set a date after Legion's Con sometime, and then we'll do this again.
For sure, because I know we both have a load of new stuff that no one's seen, and after they've seen it, maybe they'll want to hear about it.
Yeah. Maybe they do, or they don't want to hear from us again.
Yeah, maybe they don't. That's fine too.
That's so bad. You guys were promising good stuff, and here you are. This is horrible. Eric, how do you call yourself a man? Okay, everyone. Bye. Sleep well when it's time to sleep.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.